off, and North Korea claims it has successfully tested an intercontinental ballistic missile. State media says the missile reached an altitude of about 1,500 miles. Kim Jong-un celebrated what would be Pyongyang's first ICBM test. The U.S. military calls it an intermediate-range missile.
President Trump reacted on Twitter, writing, "Does this guy have anything better to do with his life? Perhaps China will put a heavy move on North Korea and end this nonsense once and for all." The missile was launched from a North Korean base near the Chinese border. It landed in the Sea of Japan. David Martin is at the Pentagon. David, good morning.
Good morning. For now, the U.S. military is sticking with its assessment that this was an intermediate-range missile, not an intercontinental ballistic missile. But intelligence analysts are still studying the details. And if this turns out to have been an ICBM, this could likely become a 4th of July crisis. Kim Jong-un has been saying since the start of this year that his country was nearing the capability to test a nuclear-tipped missile capable of striking the United States. However, it's still not known if North Korea has a miniaturized nuclear warhead that would fit on an ICBM. North Korean state media says this missile flew for about 40 minutes and reached an altitude of 1,500 miles. It splashed into the Sea of Japan about 600 miles from the launch site. Based on those numbers, experts say it could reach Alaska, but not the continental U.S. or Hawaii. If this was an ICBM, the next question becomes, what will the U.S. do about it? The Pentagon has already prepared options for shows of force in South Korea, including the test firing of U.S. missiles based there. But the options, I'm told, stop short of actually using military force against North Korea. Dana?
David, thank you. North Korea tested that missile just days before world leaders gather for the G20 summit in Germany. President Trump will discuss the nuclear threat with the leaders of Japan and South Korea. And the New York Times reports the president warned China the U.S. will act on its own to deal with North Korea. The White House said on Sunday that the two leaders agreed the Korean peninsula should be nuclear-free. Ben Tracy is in Beijing with the issues at stake this week. Ben, good morning.
Good morning. So President Trump is once again calling on China to help curb North Korea's weapons program. But for its part, China feels like it's done quite a bit in terms of backing sanctions on North Korea. Now, if you go back to April, when President Trump and President Xi Jinping met in Florida, they seemed to form a relationship, and President Trump went out of his way to compliment the Chinese leader. But that relationship seems to have taken a negative turn. Beijing is upset that the U.S. sailed a Navy destroyer near a Chinese-claimed island this past weekend and also issued sanctions on a Chinese bank that it accuses of aiding North Korea. Now, President Xi was in Moscow yesterday, where he met with Russian President Vladimir Putin, and we're told they did discuss the North Korean threat. The Chinese Foreign Ministry is urging all countries to show restraint, and it wants the U.S. to start talking to North Korea to try to ease tensions on the Korean Peninsula. Rena?
Ben Tracy in Beijing. Thank you, Ben.